Hey, Composer Gloves here, and I'm wearing a hat. Today we're going to be doing general sound design with 3 times oscillator, 3 oscillator. So here it is, 3 oscillator. Now, we are going to cover just basic sound design, not encompassing third-party stuff. We'll bring in third-party stuff in the next video. It'll probably be good for this series as far as the series goes. So this video is going to be about giving you the weapons you need to make the general sounds you want. So let's say, for example, you want to make a lead sound. Now, lead sound is, pretty much any sound that is going to be a melody. So there's typically, it's a sound with a sustain, so we don't need to worry about the envelope. It'll be a gate envelope. Or filter. Now, filtering and stuff could be very useful. So before we make our lead sound, we're probably going to want some backup chords to back it up. So let's make some chord sounds. So chords, and we're going to layer our chords. So we're going to take 2 of these and label chords, but this one's going to be chords low. So this is going to be our bass chords. So here I'm going to get rid of these 2 and just make it as a separate sub. So I'm just gonna do really simple chords right now, and they sound pretty nice. So we're gonna do A. So we're gonna go A, C, G, and so we're just gonna do some really simple stuff. And then on this one, we'll put in C. We'll do A. I don't know why I was like, oh yeah, we'll do that. Okay, cool. So we'll do it all root position. Why not? Maybe a little non-root position. C. MIDI music theory. If you're lost here, it's not that complicated though. But I keep forgetting what my chords are. Never heard that before, right? Okay, so let's make our chords a little more dynamic, right? So let's fine tune these a little off each other. We're going to want to stick to octaves. We want relationships that work. Let's get rid of this low one. Here, I'm going to bring my attack up here. And to give it space, I'm going to bring the hold down, bring the decay up, bring my sustain up. And so this is the low one. So that's pretty much the high one. So as far as the context goes, we could have it happen twice and have a filter rise. So we're going to click create automation clip. You can select, you notice I click less and less the more I do this stuff. Anyways, you just click A, and you see where these little dots are underneath the letters. That means that letter is the keyboard shortcut when you have that menu open. So for example, if you hit R, it would reset it. So in this case, A creates an automation clip. See, so that's quite nice. And we didn't even use any sort of, we did not use any external stuff yet. So, and we're not gonna in this video, but now you see chords, pretty simple. Just changing the waveform does a lot too. So if we come over here, first let's set up this guy. So this guy is also gonna fade in. I'm gonna go ahead and right click, link to controller. I should remember that one's L. And you can click the same controller source. Make sure remove conflicts is off, click accept, and now they go at the same time, so they are one breathing thing. Some people would do these as a layer and have one thing control them both. I found out that this is not a very common feature in DAWs, actually. It's pretty unique to FL in many ways. I'm not sure if you could do it in Ableton. I'm sure you can. There's probably some MIDI effect probably that can do it. But anyways, I'm using the same filter and everything. What I want to do on this one though is I want to ring modulate 1. Or not ring modulate, amplitude modulate 1. So by itself it sounds. And you notice I had to bring it up because the modulation was way too low. Like that was not fast enough. This is gonna be too high though, so I settled on this, and I want it to again to remain very in my harmonic series, and this is gonna be our low end, so we really want this to stick out and be really nice. So now we have some chords, and then we're not gonna do anything special here. We're just gonna keep playing those chords, and we're gonna do a lead. So now open up another one. This is gonna be our lead sound, right? So okay, for leads, so that's I'll do some bass sounds too, if I remember. So it's gonna be our lead, and we use shift click to go straight to the name. And for the lead, I'm gonna leave the gate off. I'm gonna leave most of this alone. Leads are really pretty simple most of the time. Saw waves. Again, I want it to be harmonically related, and I don't need a low end. They do not have portamento options in here. They do in here though. So MIDI effects, in case you're curious. I want some portamento. It causes that slide. I want my slide to be longer. I could be using slide notes too, but I also just want that there. Okay, so we're gonna write out a little melody. We're working in A, so I'm gonna start on C because no one will see it coming. And on this one, I want it to be a slide note. Something like that. Okay, and then it'll be a slow melody. So I'm not going to be making a song or anything right now, but I'm kind of am, but I'm just showing you general sound design. It's easier to just compose as you do it. So that's a pretty interesting melody. I'm going to go ahead and change it from the original. I'm going to filter out a little bit of this stuff using a high pass. And then I want to add in some vibratos, which would be kind of a cool thing to add to your lead. So I'm going to bring the amount up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to automate the amount on and off. Now I'm going to start my automation clip about there, and I'm going to create an automation clip, which is A, and then I'm going to move to this part where that is, and I'm going to hit C for copy value, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go, okay, so right now it's been set to no vibrato. And then right there, I think it'd be kind of cool to add a little bit of vibrato right there at the very end. So I'm going to go ahead and do some automation, bring it up, hit P for paste, or just do that if you're like me and are used to doing that. C. So there, we're gonna paste those, make sure they're solid. Add another clip and paste the value. What the heck? I've been hitting P. Has it been pasting it? If I go up here and hit P, it has been. Okay, they're just tiny moves. So this should sound quite nice. Once you have it once though, you don't really need to keep doing it. You could just manipulate that one time. So that's not the best spot to put it though, and it could be a little bit quicker. got a lead sound thing. Okay, so you could continue to layer things. Like, for example, let's say that we want to clone it and layer it with something, make it sound a little more full. A lot of this is just layering. So you layer it and you come up with a new line, you layer it, you come up with a new line, but that's the general idea behind leads. We might move this up more, move this down more, and maybe pan it a little bit. Okay, so there we got our lead. Let's say we want to add a pluck now. So now we come in here and we're like, oh, you know what? Let's add a pluck. So we will add another one. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. So we'll come in here, we'll turn on. Or let's say we want to make some sort of a piano type sound. So piano type sounds are pretty easy. They have a fast volume envelope and they decay rather quickly. So the hold is not very long. The sustain is 0. They have a long decay though. I know I just said the decay is not very long, but I just realized it kind of is. Now the thing about pianos is they have high harmonic content that is not... Now, we can't control these things individually, so we're not going to get the most realistic sounding piano out of this, but we will give it a shot. We're not... I'm not looking for to sound like a piano. I'm looking at to just get to... Because there's all sorts of mumbo jumbo. This is going to sound really far away from piano. Just a piano type, like a Rhodes. Not even a Rhodes. Just, you know, just some sort of a pad vibe that's less... That's a bad idea. Maybe we'll just go for a... Well, okay, so they have high harmonic content that's slightly strute. In Harmor, this is a million times easier because you can just go at the individual harmonic structure of different parts of your sound. Here, you can't really do that. And so using stuff like this, there's no way to really filter out just part of that from these two. So in this case, we're just gonna have to live with whatever we can get out of it. There you go. There's my piano sound. So anyways, you could use that. Let's make a bass type sound, like a rip. So I'm going to turn on the AM modulation. I'm going to bring this up to get some of that texture out of there. In this case, we can make a laser. That'd be kind of cool. So lasers are easy. They're just giant pitch bends. And here we want our sustain to either be infinite with a release of 0 and a decay of 0 with a hold of 0 and an attack. So that's how you make a sound like that. And you could do all sorts of things. They just change them, vary it up, detune it a little. There's aliasing, as you can hear. You can make a riser. Those are very easy. Can you automate this? Oh my gosh, you can. That opens the doors for... I'll show you why that's cool. You could automate your X to come in to make it more dynamic. release out pretty far, actually. Bring the sustain up. That's all you really need to do is bring the sustain up. So you do something like that. Oh, I have bass sounds. Okay, so bass sounds. Okay, so bass sounds are some of my favorite sounds. We're going to need some low notes, though, for this. So to do this, come down here, throw down some low notes. And when we throw in third-party stuff, this will be way easier. But for now, there we have an obnoxious low sound. So you get electro bass is really easy. It's basically just saw waves and square waves and triangle waves, and you just low notes, and it's pretty much not that difficult. So let's try amplitude. I like 36. 36 is pretty cool. And then we could do that whole panning trick that I showed you earlier. It's tough because we don't have distortion modules in here, so we got to kind of use what we have available to ourselves. Sounds like that. They're crazy. Anyways, you get in here. That's pretty much the extent of what you can really do in here. You could try doing some Reeses. Reeses are really easy. In a Reese, you just have two low tones, and they're very slightly different in pitch. So you just change this a little bit. Now these are they're too far apart. That's a Reese. You hear the beating going on. Okay, and let's talk about a cool thing you can do with plucks now that I didn't realize that before, but you can do this. Okay, so new pattern. We're just going to do a simple pluck thing. We're not going to worry too much about notes or anything like that. So we're just going to go, like C, E, A, and just do that a bunch of times. Take the last one off. Okay, now let's say we're working over here now. Woo! And we have our thing. What's cool about this is you can automate it and you can do something like that. If you were to throw a delay on this, it'd be really cool. If we were to continue on. And so you have some really cool sort of morphing options available for the pluck. We could even add in, a little bit of filter action here. And sort of match whatever's going on over here. Do something kind of cool. So that's something else that is pretty freaking cool. Okay, so another thing that you can do is this actually stands a good shot at making a kick out of this. It's pretty simple. To make a kick, all you really need is one tone. Well, you need a series this is going to be an okay thing. We're going to need to use the noise oscillator a little bit. That may not be a good idea. I have a video about how to make kicks in my sound design with series, one for Harmer and one for Citrus. However, you got samples galore, but I'll just show you some of the ideas about it real quick. So what you can do is you can have some sort of a note, right? We'll put it right here. And what it's going to be is we need it to pitch bend down very quickly. So we're going to turn it on. We want it to pitch bend down, so we're going to turn it that way. We're going to turn it up. We're going to turn the decay way up and the hold off. Yeah. We want the attack off. Oh, it's going up. I'm trying to think. There's a way. This just requires thinking. There we go. So it's very, very fast pitch bend. And then the volume envelope is also going to be very, very fast. So these can all essentially be 0. No sustain. This is something you could sit here and make crap. You could just do this forever. We could turn it into a snare by just raising it up a little and adding some noise. This is a very, very, very bad snare, but you know, it'll work for now. Oh, you know what? We can't isolate the noise from here because then you could get into noise shaping and you do all this stuff. So you can't. But anyways, that's a general idea behind snares and junk. You might use it as a layer. A lot of people use noise generators or just a sine wave generator and layer it in with their kick, not as a sub, but to mirror the kick using a gate. If that's beyond you, don't worry about it. But it is a cool way to reinforce your stuff. Mostly used though for like live when you're doing actual bands that you've recorded versus like electronic producing. It's very different because everything's already pretty well set up, and we have plugins like bass drum that do pretty much this exact same thing, only they have the parameters. As you can see, look at all these amazing parameters specifically to control the things that are particular to a kick or a snare or whatever. This one doesn't do snares though. What else can we make with this? Bass sounds, risers, leads, pads. Pads of the uplifting kind are without getting into reverb, which is something that reverb is used for. We would go like this. We will take we'll do what we did before, but we'll detune the snot out of everything. Play higher notes. And then they have just long envelope times in. And they fade out really slowly. And they're you know, they're like. So, you know, it's that kind of a thing. So anyways, that's some general sound design here. Very good spot to just sort of start looking at ideas like this. Very simple. In the next video, we'll get into third-party stuff, and that's where you can go really, really far with this kind of thing. If you have any questions, let me know. Subscribe, and have a blessed day.